moderator, TV Guide Magazine senior writer, Damian Holbrook.
Watch it, but what did you think? It's really nasty. I love that, right? I'm super excited to be doing this. I'm basically a Mindy Kaling super fan, so to be out here is just so exciting for me, and it should be for you as well because she's delightful. So let's bring out our panel. Miss Mindy Kaling, executive producer on the Voice of voice of Fred. There he is. All right. And fresh off the publishing house shelves, newly published author Constance Wu. Also on Zoom because he's in everything, Sam Richardson, the voice of Shaggy. And showrunner and executive producer Charlie Grandy. All right. Okay. So first of all, this is Mindy and Constance. You've never been to Comic-Cons before, right?
Yeah, this is my first time.
And Mindy, right? Give them some Comic-Con love. So, congratulations, and in the immortal words of Dr. Mindy Lahiri, how dare you take this beloved character and make her universally appealing?
Listen, we love the series. We love these characters so much. You know, Charlie created what I think is an amazing homage to this group, especially this character. I've always, growing up, identified with Velma. She was so cute, but not like traditionally hot, super smart, super thick glasses, questionable haircut. Like I just love the series, and I feel so honored I got to do the voice.
She was the Sabrina Duncan of Mystery Incorporated, Kate Jackson. So what inspired you to actually do the voice rather than just do like the production behind the scenes and all that?
I just couldn't resist it, I just think well, first of all, let's be honest, I sound like a 15-year-old girl from like Encino. So I thought that I thought it'd be fun, and I thought I could bring something to the character that we haven't seen. So many amazing actresses have played Velma before, and I just felt honored to be in their footsteps and do our version of it.
Right. So, this version is not for kids. This is not your Saturday morning Scooby-Doo story.
No, you've all seen it. No.
Yeah. Why do it for adults? Because you're a mom.
How dare you? How dare you do this? Well, it just felt like it hadn't been done before, and there's so many adult cartoons that Charlie and I love, Rick and Morty, Harley Quinn, and we just thought, yes, they're such great shows, and we just thought these characters, they're high schoolers that lended themselves so well to, an adult version.
This was actually, honestly, the first time I saw the episode, I was like, oh, this is the perfect complement to Harley Quinn. It's like these two, this is a double feature that I can get into. Charlie, you are a male showrunner.
I am.
A white male showrunner.
Yes.
On a show about a South Asian teenage girl.
Yeah.
You want to talk about this?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. I mean, I've been working with Mindy forever, and so I think I just speak fluent Mindy in terms of writing. But more than anything, yeah, I think it would be a problem if I kind of wrote and broke in this episode everything myself and said, no, this has to be my vision. But I think my job on the show was to really facilitate Mindy's vision and to bring aboard the incredible cast and writing staff particularly that could, be as sensitive to the material as we needed to be while also telling engaging and funny stories.
And you and Mindy have worked together for so long. So you
Since
guys,
2008.
yeah, so you guys have to have that shorthand by now,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, he's written for, some of my more demented characters like Mindy Lahiri, and he's just a great hard joke writer. I want to say, by the way, the reason these guys are not in the room is not because they said legally they can't be in the same room as me. It's because they have other projects. I love Sam and Glenn dearly. Hi guys.
Hi. So, all right, so that's something I wanted to ask was, one of my favorite things is that you pop up in the projects of all these people. Like, there was a period where every time like Seth Rogen did a movie or like there was something, you showed up in it, and now you just seem to have the coolest friends that you get to work with. How close were you with these guys before you started working on it?
Well, I was a fan of both of them before I worked with them, and Glenn was actually in the Mindy project. He played one of my boyfriends in the show.
Wow.
We're all obsessed. All the writers were obsessed with his character and Always Sunny and just the show in general. And it was fun for him to play. Glenn, you want to take this the wrong way, like a more normal guy than on Always Sunny. And then when we can all say like, I don't think the original Scooby-Doo, like the whiteness defined the characters, except Fred is extremely white. And we knew when we looked at this, we wanted like an incredible comedy actor, but who also had like this humanity. And so I think, Charlie, you were the one that was like, Glenn would be so good for this.
Yeah, I mean, really just from working with Glenn on the Mindy project and loving Always Sunny so much, it was like, oh, it was a no-brainer. It really was.
And Sam, I think, I met Sam a couple times, we have a lot of mutual friends, but I'm just like such a fan. Look at his dreamy face.
And you literally, Sam, you are in everything. Like everything. The after party, so good.
Ted Lasso. Ted Lasso is so
Yeah. So I do have to ask Sam, the Norval we meet is not the Shaggy we know he grows up to be. Can you preview or tease what happens to him to turn him into such a burnout later on?
Charlie?
No, you can't. But it will be deserved. You'll see. It will make sense. But yeah, no, we can't really tease it. But yeah, you will see the evolution of the character.
Okay. And speaking of an evolution of a character, Glenn, you really do tend to excel at slightly pathological, privileged white men. Again, is this your wheelhouse? And also, what are you doing with your voice on this? Because you actually do sound like a high schooler.
That's sort of become a weird specialty of mine, playing extraordinarily entitled white men. But as far as what I'm doing with my voice, it's similar to something that me and my friends have done together, which is kind of the extremely entitled, overprivileged kid, like teenage kid who's like, everything's like, Mom, give me exactly what I want, Mom. And so we just found that. I started with that, but honestly, I kind of half expected them to stop me and be like, well, that's a little too strange. It doesn't sound anything like the original character. But no one stopped me, so I kept going.
And had you known going in what Fred's deep secret was? Because it was the most disturbing turn. And that was shortly after seeing someone lose a limb.
Yeah, I knew from reading this. What do you mean, did I know? I didn't know before I read the script.
Right, okay, it's like Mindy didn't warn you, like, oh, Fred is prepubescent.
No, no one really, look, all I needed to know was that the people that are on that stage right now were involved, and I was like, yeah, I'm in.
Nice. And now, Constance, I love that Velma is the absolute opposite of Daphne, because we always knew they were kind of like the Ginger and Marianne. But we didn't realize, and it makes such sense, that Daphne would be a mean girl. Like, she has the cartoon hips of a mean girl. You know? Like, when you see Daphne, you're like, oh yeah, she probably was a nightmare in high school. How fun is that, to get to play this, like, a cartoon who's so nasty?
I mean, it was amazing. I mean, to get to really sink into a character like that, that's what you want to do.
Have you done anything with your voice as well?
Have I done anything with my
Like,
voice?
are you altering your voice in the recordings at all to make her sound a little like more pubescent?
I don't know. Did I?
I don't think so.
I think I
Yeah.
just talked like me.
Right.
I don't think I'd be very good at sounding prepubescent,
So, what was
even though I look it sometimes.
what was more challenging, getting into Daphne as this teenage nightmare, or playing opposite a crocodile?
Oh, that's a tough one. You know, I mean, it was a pleasure doing this, and you know, working with the crocodile was sometimes a challenge.
Yeah. I've heard
He's
they're
really big.
They're very temperamental. Very temperamental. So, have you guys known each other?
Yeah, you sent me when I was pregnant. You were one of like the first people, the first celebrities I told, and you sent me a really good like new mom checklist.
Wait, I was one of the first celebrities you told.
I think you might have been like
More than like Randall
Second.
Park? That's exciting.
No, I know. I did not tell Randall Parker. I think I told Amy Schumer first, and then you.
Okay, well now I know.
Sorry.
Really, it's kind of meaningless now. Can I just say, I think Daphne's illustration is very hot.
Oh yeah,
How
super
do you say
hot.
that?
Oh, and by the way, speaking of hot, you haven't been out on the floor. There are several really hot Velmas walking around.
Oh, I cannot wait to.
Yeah, in fact, I believe there's a bunch in the room.
Yeah, well,
Right? Velma, stand up.
to each other.
I think some of you hit the floor.
Oh, I see one right there. Looking good. I'm just gonna objectify people. Oh, ooh, chef's kiss.
Yeah.
Ooh, machi machi. See you right there. Can I be doing this? I don't know.
So all right, so let's get into this because this is a bit of a thing. Velmas that look like people who don't usually look like Velma. Very brave, especially in this time of social media, to actually risk anything that could create any sort of Twitter outrage. Were you prepared for any kind of reaction?
You know, I'm always constantly surprised by reactions to everything on social media, but it's kind of like what I said before. I think of the characters in this as so iconic, but in no way is the gang defined by their whiteness, except for Fred. And so I was a little bit surprised, and I think most Indian American girls, when they see, you know, this skeptical, hardworking, kind of underappreciated character, that they're like, they can identify with her. And you know, there's been such a great, in the recent past, you know, we have Into the Spider-Verse, we have these characterizations of beloved characters that are unconventional. And I think the vast majority of people are excited and ready for it, and the show is for them.
And that's the great thing about it. You guys aren't dumping on the property. You aren't trying to rewrite the history. You're not getting rid of anything. You're not erasing anything that went ahead of this. But for Constance and Sam, and for you, do you guys remember the first time you saw a lead character that reflected you?
I think I might have played it. The first one I saw, I think, might have been myself. Yeah.
The Black Power Ranger. I wanted to be the blue one, but I love them.
That's the thing. I love that we are going to see, you can see kids of all colors, all sizes, all genders. I mean, I passed a Velma who was like taller than me, who looked like me, you know? That this is a character that anyone can have, and any character is that way. Yeah, and that's a beautiful thing. And Charlie, when you were writing this, what is your writing room look like?
You know, it's extremely diverse. I think with staffing, it was obviously, as we've discussed, I'm a white male, and so I have a perspective that is not, you know, just naturally the same as my writer. So we just needed it as the lead. So we just needed to find cool, good, diverse writers to fill the room. And what's really great, and I can say, having, you know, we met in 2008, but just what's great now in terms of staffing is there's so many more writers of color that are out there. I mean, and agencies are repping people now too. Like, so it's not like, so there have always been writers of color that can get access to them. It's so much easier when you're specifically like, hey, I need South Asian female writers, and you will get 20. And it's just unheard of. And you could across the board, East Asian female writers, East Asian male writers, like you will get 10 to 20. And that just hasn't been the case before. So it makes staffing a show like this pretty easy. I mean, it's always, you gotta read a lot, but it's certainly doable.
And also Charlie had an opportunity of filling out the rest of the world with other characters that were diverse, like what the hot girls look like, you know, isn't what like a group of hot girls would look like in 2004 on TV, you know? Like, and so that was, I think, really fun, and that's reflected in some of the amazing casting announcements that came out today.
Yeah. All right, so let's talk about the way the actual show looks, rather than just the characters. The animation. Clearly there's an homage to the classic Hanna-Barbera animation, but what was your idea behind this? Because it could have gone many different ways.
We wanted to update it. You know, I think just we didn't want it to look too much like the original. We wanted it to have its own distinct look. We were really trying to find that balance, because we put a lot of work into finding character design. I think a lot of times when animated shows are created, you will have an artist that's part of the team. So they come with characters already designed. We didn't have that. So we looked at tons and tons of different styles of characters. We wanted something to balance both comedy and horror that could go back and forth. And it really was, I think we did 3 rounds of searches with at least 10 different per, and it was finally on, like, in that 3rd round, we both saw the same one round, yeah, that.
We talked about this backstage or earlier today about your table read for the pilot was done on Zoom, sort of like what we're working with here. For all of you, what was that like, getting to do a table read on Zoom with people that are so damn funny, but on Zoom it's a different experience? How was it?
I mean, I was really starstruck. I couldn't believe I'd heard other people were playing these parts, but then it just felt like such a real show. Also, it made me nervous and competitive because they're funny, so I felt like I had to be better. So, I mean, I don't know, that's like, I think that's good as an actress.
And I feel like I've gotten kind of used to doing table reads on Zoom, and then Charlie directed us on Zoom from like the voiceover booth. So this is actually the first time I met him in
person.
flesh.
Yeah. Oh,
yeah.
wow.
And we've recorded a lot.
Yeah.
Have you met either of these two in person yet?
I don't think I met Sam. I've met
No.
No, and you won't.
That is insane.
Can I also say, I don't know if you guys have been to read, Stephen Root plays a character on this, and he is so funny as this character we get to meet. Dunlop, we announced him, right?
Yeah.
Okay. But Stephen Root's the one I've grown up loving on TV, so it was amazing that, like, we got Wanda Sykes, Jane Lynch, Melissa Romero. It's such a Yvonne Orji, Fortune fame star. And they're all in recurring roles, and they're so funny.
Yeah, you have this guest cast list that I'm looking at. It's like Nicole Byer, Fortune, Weird Al Yankovic, Ming Na, Shay Mitchell, Gary Cole, like you, Melissa Romero. Like, this is a great. And again, these are like all your cool friends, right?
I mean, I want to say yes.
Right.
Yeah, I'm not that close with Weird Al. We have, like, vacation together, but maybe we will now.
Okay, so for you guys, what was your original connection to the Scooby-Doo adventures and the mysteries? And like, I think for everyone, we remember, you know, like, for me it was like when they met Sonny and Cher. For you guys, what was your like big Scooby-Doo thing?
I mean, for me, it was just getting high.
Yeah.
Like, that's what this show was about. And, you know, in high school, it's kind of what you're about.
I guess I'd be at 2. When they met the Harlem Globetrotters, which is also the last stuff I saw in a cartoon. And also, I used to watch the hell out of a pup named Scooby-Doo. I don't know if you I love that show. so much. The song was the best theme song in a TV show that ever had.
Yeah, I just watched it a ton as a kid. I've probably seen every single episode of the original Scooby-Doo. But it's weird that Sam mentioned that because the one that I remember the most is the Harlem Globetrotters one. I don't know if it's because I was super into basketball when I was a kid, and so maybe that's why it stood out to me. But I just remember absolutely loving that, and loving the show in general.
Yeah.
Charlie and I talk about this where my parents were kind of very overprotective immigrant parents, and so they really screened what I could watch, but they found the show sort of amenable. But we've talked about this, Scooby-Doo was scary to us as like little kids, like, or as scary as it got, when they would like take a shortcut through a swamp to get back home, and then a zombie would...
Yeah, or just like a door opening and a monster being there. It's terrifying.
But I loved it, and I thought the animation was beautiful. Even back then, even now, like my daughter watches it, doesn't totally understand it, but the pacing is obviously very different than shows now, but it's just a beautiful show, which is why people are so drawn to the costumes. Like you can see a Daphne a mile away, and so that's also really exciting about the original series and about, I think, the one that we're making now.
And what was the idea behind making it serialized?
Just to, I think, reflect the trend in current teen dramas, and the shows that we like watching are serialized. That's just kind of how mysteries are done. I think I was more interested in writing a serialized mystery than a mystery of the week. The mysteries of the week are more kind of personal. I like that structure of, a flawed detective needing to overcome an emotional problem before they can solve the larger, more practical mystery.
And is there a process, like do you have to go to like Mystery Inc. headquarters to get clearance on playing some of these characters in such a wild way?
Not really. We kind of made our appeal early on to Warner Brothers, and from that we said, hey, here's how we want to do it. And they said, great, go have fun. And that was kind of the last we've heard from them. They've been incredibly supportive. They've been real partners in this. It's been fantastic.
So they were okay, and I hope that this is what is happening, is that we're getting the idea that she might have some kind of supernatural ability?
I mean, I don't want to get into any spoilers, so I think you'll just have to watch the show and see.
Okay. It's just so weird to be talking about spoilers.
Yeah, I know, for Velma, right, yeah.
Glenn, I feel like you love that Fred drives something considered a weird sex van.
No. I get extremely uncomfortable almost every character I play. I don't know why I find this style of humor so funny. It's like it makes like. This show makes me laugh really, really hard. And whenever I get to play an entitled white dude, it just makes me laugh. It's just funny. I think I'd probably, relate to it in ways that I'm loath to admit. But as far as driving a strange van, that's not really something I can
And so what can you guys tell me about how these characters end up becoming friends?
Yeah, I mean, one thing I love from some of the other shows I've worked on is how people from different social stratas, like in social hierarchies in a high school, find something in common. And that's the other thing about the show, it's a high school show, so we get to see all of the high school events and the dances and those kinds of things, in addition to it being a murder mystery. And so they're obviously, like, Daphne and Fred are popular, and Velma's more of an outsider, and so is Norville, so seeing them all come together is kind of, I think, what's the fun about the show, and why I like doing a serialized show. I also always love shows like the X-Files, where there's an overarching mystery, but we get like episodic ideas, throughout to keep us sort of satiated, and I think that's what's fun about this show too.
How long can the unresolved sexual tension between Norville and Velma go on?
And she has unresolved sexual tension with a lot of characters.
The list of people people she
Yeah.
would like to see nude is alarming.
No, and it's great. And God, I don't want to give any spoilers away, but there's a lot of these cast members have a lot of the characters have sexual tension with Velma, which is fun.
Oh,
He
okay.
deserves it.
Is there any chance that we would actually see like a Velma Daphne moment? Because I was expecting that response from that.
Again, we just don't want to give away any spoilers.
Yeah, but listen, we just have to say, like, this journey of self-discovery for her is something that really drew us to this project and to this character. So we want to honor, other interpretations and what we think feels really modern. Is that as big
Great.
as I could be? But, yeah.
Yeah. So there's a possibility we could see a Shaggy Fred moment.
I mean, we really went into this show pitching, like, the phrase we pitched was love quadrangle. And so,
Well, Martin, who in the writers' room is the Riverdale fan?
hey, all of us. I mean, we talk about the show a lot.
So you've been writing for Mindy for so long, and this character is just like, Mindy Project, Kelly, like everyone that you've played, super plugged into pop culture. Is it just so easy for you now to write this for her because you know she's going to know exactly who Hadid is?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it's hard. Like when the turnaround time is so slow in animation that you'll write a joke and record it, and then by the time you get the animation back, it's like, whoa, that joke died on the vine a long time ago. No one gets that reference anymore. But yeah, it's good to know that the character will understand what's going on in the world. I'd say probably Daphne's more pop culture savvy than Velma is in this episode. She's a little kind of a mix. She knows some things, but then she kind of has some blind spots in a way that I think some of your other characters haven't had.
Which is also a very interesting update to the character, because I feel like Daphne was always kind of played as the dumb one. Like she was the pretty one.
She's like the demure one.
Right,
And I think that's so fun about this character now is she's not demure. She has like her own mysteries that she has to figure out about her own life that we find out about. And I think is a quality that Constance brings to the character too, is Constance like projects strength, and her vocal acting also projects strength. And that character is one all of the characters really delve into their family life and the things that we didn't really get to see in the original series.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I wanted to know about the family dynamics, because we meet Velma's part of her family, but the rest of them do have, and Fred's father sucks. But we'll meet the other family members.
Yeah, we'll meet all their parents. It all gets, we really, again, looking at the current teen drama, it always feels as if the parents are a big part of it and are really key in shaping the kids. And so that was important when creating the show, to give them very fleshed out and real complicated home lives.
Okay, so again, so crazy that Velma has a complicated home life. The guest cast that you had, obviously you guys recorded separately. Did you get to work with any of the other guest voices?
No, the thing about this, which is why this is so exciting, being in the room with everyone here, is that I haven't been able to on this project. It's such a born in COVID conceived of project that I haven't been able to interact with any of them. So it feels extra magical to watch an episode and see and hear everyone. And I'm friends with a lot of the people who are in the cast, so we've been in touch that way. But yeah, it's been surprising how good the chemistry is, given that we all were kind of separated for it.
And so how long ago did you start working on this?
2 or 3 years ago?
Yeah,
Maybe it was right when we
pre-COVID.
started at Warner Brothers. Yeah, I think it was pretty early on when we first went to Warner Brothers. We started talking about it, and then we kind of formulated some ideas and went in and pitched very rough what we wanted to do to Warner Brothers, and they said great. And then it wasn't until quarantine though that it started to pick up speed, because I think we'd both kind of been working on, you were getting College Girls off the air, and I had some other little nothings that I was working on, and then finally once you're in quarantine, animation was really the only thing you could work on.
Wow.
And
So
that's really
so in that time also, Glenn probably did 3 seasons of Sunny.
Yeah.
Sam probably made about 6 movies, and Constance wrote a book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And had a child.
So how was it for you guys when you finally got to see the final product?
So it was so funny. Because we were all working in a little bit of our own kind of bubble and not getting to see and work with each other. We got to interact a little bit in the table reads, but it's just not quite the same thing. When I first saw it all put together, it was just a couple of scenes. I was doing some ADR for something, and I was like, oh, this is like, the scripts are great, but it made me laugh even more than I expected it to, and that's always fun too.
I mean, for me, it was fun to hear everybody, and like Mindy said, the chemistry that happened, even though we weren't in the same recording studios at the same time. But you know how your voice sounds different in your own head than when you hear it recorded? Whenever I hear my own voice, I just think I sound like a duck. And I was just like, oh God, Daphne's a duck. But I don't know, it's just like self-critical in your own voice. But I mean, hearing everybody else was great.
Sam, how about you?
Oh, yeah. I mean, like every step, like doing the table, first reading the scripts, I would laugh out loud reading them, and then doing the Zoom table reads, I would try and like mute myself because everybody was just so funny. And then like when doing ADR, you kind of like see when things are starting to like come together and mix, and you see what it looks like in real life. And I laughed even harder. And then watching the episode, that was my ultimate. So 4 steps of laughing and enjoying it. I really love this show.
What's so fun about the scripts and what I really admire about Charlie and the staff is that this show is about high school, so there's so much comedy about the injustices of high school, which is why it's great that it's an adult, a show for adults, as we get to, the character is so clear-eyed about all of that, and she's kind of a truth teller. And so that's a huge part of the show, is her cutting through the clutter of, honestly, the bullshit of high school life. When you're smart and underappreciated. That's those observations are like razor sharp, and I hope people like appreciate that.
All right. So you've already admitted, like growing up, you were a Velma.
Yes.
Sam, Constance, Glenn, what were you? Which character would you associate with?
I mean, I think I was definitely, this will come as a surprise to people possibly, but definitely much more of a Shaggy than a Fred. I was like doing the Birkenstocks or Tevas and Grateful Dead shirts, and, I had like long curly hair, and never quite went all the way and did dreads, but definitely, smoked a fair amount of weed. Ate a lot of Subway sandwiches.
And I guess like minus the whiteness, I was very much a Fred, actually.
I mean, I guess I might have been a Daphne. I mean, I was a theater nerd, but then I was also like a cheerleader and like homecoming princess.
Oh, yeah.
And a theater, so I'm like, I don't know.
I kind of straddled all the social groups in a
I was a theater nerd, but I was voted most popular nerd.
I identify as one of the old men that removes his mask.
Exactly. I identify as Phyllis Diller when they met her.
Yeah.
All right.
By the way, I come from the generation, this is not in the original, like Scrappy Doo was like a big part. Very divisive character. Scrappy Doo, very divisive character.
Yes, very divisive.
Yeah. So let's address the great Dane in the room as well. No Scooby-Doo. Nobody's even mentioned being a pet owner at this point. We've seen how many shows where it's like an origin story, and it's like Gotham, but it doesn't have Batman, or Smallville, but it's not Superman. What can you tell the Scooby-Doo purists out there?
Well, when we were going into the show and thinking about adapting it, and we wanted to be respectful. We didn't want to just kind of take these beloved characters and put them in outrageous or gross situations and say, like, isn't it crazy we did that to Velma? So when we were thinking about what made it a kid's show, what makes it an adult show, the dog, Scooby, is what really seemed to, we couldn't get a take on it. That was like, how do we kind of do this in a fun, modern way? So that felt like what made it a kid's show was Scooby-Doo. That coincided with Warner Brothers Animation saying, hey, you can't use the dog. So we're like, great, this works out well. But again, like for me, just like I was always interested, you know, I think it's nice to kind of allude to dogs in the world. It's fun, and we'll just kind of leave it at that.
So is it because Scooby-Doo is getting his own gritty remake on the
Yeah, exactly.
It's like a junky puppy. So Mindy, you excel at playing characters with oversized confidence who are constantly being taken down a peg. The line in the pilot about the just a scared little boy. I'm like, that is classic Mindy Kaling, just taking the piss out of herself. Is that something you love to play?
I think I'm only suited to play those kinds of characters, and I'm really drawn to those underdog characters. I think it's like a version of what Glenn gets with these characters that are sort of entitled, and what I feel, for whatever reason, I'm trying really hard to not be that way, but I am an underdog, and those are the types of parts that I excel at, you know? So, and this one I feel so honored. I mean, she's such a cool character.
Well, that's why I'm going to wrap with the idea, like, your confidence created this. You know, with you guys, you've given this generation and adults and younger kids a chance to have their Velma and their Shaggy and their, you know, that's your confidence and it's the work you put in, which I think is amazing.
Well, it's so nice, and I just want to say, like, there's been so many amazing actresses who've played Velma, and I feel like just honored to be in their footsteps. So this is great honor for me.
Nice. Before we go, we've got a little bit of a thing to show you at the end, but I believe you've all been given some glasses. You're so good. Yeah.
Hey, so I have glasses, and I'm going to take a photo of all of us. That's okay. We're doing it for the likes.
I've got some.